Dear viewers, we are today live at One Bangla TV platform. So we are live from Bristol, and today we're going to talk about lockdown and mental health. আমরা আজকে লাইভ আইছি আপনারা কাছে ওয়ান বাংলা টিভির ভিউয়ার্স হল যারা যেখানে আছেন আপনারা আশা করি ভালো আছেন। আজকে আমরা ব্রিস্টল থেকে লাইভ আইছি। আমরা আজকের খেয়াল আপনাদের লগে তোরা শেয়ার করতাম আমরা মেন্টাল হেলথ যেটা আছে মানসিক যে আমরা যে ভারসাম্য যেটা আছে প্লাস এই লকডাউন এটা কতটুকু ইম্প্যাক্ট করে এন্ড এটা লাগি স্পোর্টস অ্যাক্টিভিটি এক্সারসাইজ বা বিং আউটডোর কতটুকু ইম্পর্টেন্ট ওটা লই আমরা ডিসকাশন করবো। আমরা আজকে সৌভাগ্য যে আমরা টিম ব্রিস্টল ফাউন্ডেশন করে একটা অর্গানাইজেশন আছে ব্রিস্টল যে বিভিন্ন ধরনের অ্যাক্টিভিটি তারা স্পোর্টস রিলেটেড অ্যাক্টিভিটি তারা করেন ফর লাস্ট ফিউ ইয়ার্স ফিউ মান্থস এন্ড তারা লগে আমার বিভিন্ন ইন্টারাকশন হয়েছে। আজকে তারারে আমরা তুলে ধরবো তারা কি ধরনের অ্যাক্টিভিটি ইনভলভ আছে আর আশা করলাম তারা আমরা লগে শেয়ার করবা দেন আমরা এটা কতটুকু তারারে ইম্প্যাক্ট করে কতটুকু ইম্পর্টেন্ট এটা আমরা লাগি। আপনারা যেহেতু জানরা আমি নাম্বার অফ প্রোগ্রাম করছি লাস্ট কাপল উইকস এন্ড স্পেশালি আমরা ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশি মৃত্যুর সংখ্যা ডেথ রেট ইজ ওয়ান অফ দ্য হাইয়েস্ট among all the communities and এটা লাগি বিভিন্ন কারণ দায়ী and one of the reason is we are very weak in certain situations. এটা লাগি দেখা যায় যে very recently কিছু মানুষ হসপিটাল আইসিইউ তে আছেন রিসেন্টলি বাক্কা কয়েকজন ফ্যামিলি পরিচিত মাঝে মারা গেছেন। গতিকে এটা ভেরি ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট আমরা ইভেন লকডাউনের ভিতরে বা বিভিন্ন সমস্যার ভিতরে বিভিন্ন ব্যস্ততার মাঝেও আমরা লুক আফটার হবার লাগি আমরা বিভিন্ন অ্যাক্টিভিটি স্পোর্টসের লগে আমরা কানেকশন থাকতাম। সো আমার পয়লেও আমি আমার প্রশ্ন করবো আমার রুমান ভাইরে and ask them যে থোড়া introduction দিল রুমান ভাই আর কইলো আপনি কিলা ইনভলভ কোন খাতে ইনভলভ and just share a few words about the club itself. Why was it formed? Why is there any need? Thank you, Ruman Bhai.
Well, originally, Team Bristol, we started off as a badminton club. So actually, we've got a lot of badminton players in Bristol, and it wasn't quite possible for all of us to play together. So, I mean, what the club originally managed to do was bring all the players together and just, offer everybody regular sessions where everyone can participate together. So, I mean, what that has done is obviously in Bristol especially, I mean, our badminton standard compared to maybe 10 years ago, it's just leaped in a big way because, we're getting more players joining us every month, every year we're getting more players joining us. And what that has done is obviously increased everybody's standard of play. So yeah, alhamdulillah, it's been a really great journey seeing the club improve. And for the last year or so, obviously we formed into the Sports Foundation now, which is now offering, the opportunity to play in football, cycling. I think we've got regular sessions of kids camp, badminton, and obviously we're looking to grow that as well now. So yeah, it's offering the community, especially the Bengali community, a lot of opportunity to play, sports in general, and especially focusing on badminton at the moment. So yeah, that's where we stand really.
Thank you for sharing that, Roman Bhai. Roman is also a known businessman in Bristol, coming background in the hospitality industry. A very busy young man, yet find that time to create opportunities and platform for those who want to exercise in sports. And one thing I picked up from Roman Bhai's conversation here that they tried as much as they can চেষ্টা করছেন জেলা ফারুকা to cater for all kind of busy people. So obviously, ব্যাডমিন্টন খেলার একটা টাইমিং আছে, ফুটবলের একটা টাইমিং আছে, সাইক্লিং এর একটা টাইমিং আছে. So it's almost like if there is a time gap throughout the day, throughout the week, you can plan ahead and get involved. So which is really, really a great idea, excellent way of getting out there and doing some exercise. Obviously, I'm from Bristol, and I know those individuals for many, many years, and I've been involved in many of those activities and sports. And one thing we want to go back or start with football, which is one of the most favorite sports in England, if not throughout the world. And I'm going to quickly introduce Rul Amin. Rul Bhai, just tell about your background, who you are, and how you're involved, and then I'm going to ask some questions about football, if that's okay.
Okay, so obviously I'm from Bristol as well, Naseem. I'm just passionate about football. So it's a sport I've played all my life. I've got injured at football and stuff, but I always seem to come back to football. You know, I always get back and play again because I really have a passion for it. And now I don't play as much as I used to, but I'm taking my kids to football now, and I'm still involved as much as I can with football. So it's something I'm very passionate about. I really love it, and yeah, I hope to carry on playing for as long as I can. Thank you, Naseem.
Thank you, Rulamin Bhai, for sharing that. I know we spent quite a lot of number of years in youth playing football. So my question to you, what changes have you seen from back then when we were going out and playing, at that age? What can you see the people with the similar age nowadays? Are they more involved in outdoor activity, going out and playing sports? I mean, we weren't quite naive, but every time we went out playing, I mean, it was very much like a street sport out there.
Yeah.
Can you share what are the differences you identified? What changed in the game?
Yeah, as you said, Naseem, when we used to play, it was just friends getting together, would pick up a ball and would go to the park and play, sort of thing. Football has become more organised now, so it's more you need to be really part of a team. You get coaching, so it's much more organised. It's not so much friends getting together and playing as we used to. You know, everyone does different stuff now. Individually, kids are playing computer games at home, not going out as much as we used to in our sort of time. So yeah, there has been a change. Naseem, you're right. Yes.
Okay. And one more questions while we're on that subject. So I know you're a businessman as well. You got a good pretty medium-sized family. It keeps you really busy throughout your work, doing all that activity. How does it feel in terms of does that playing football midweek throughout the weekend, does that help your mental state? Does that give you a bit of me time? Does that kind of keeps your mind more fresh and occupied? What kind of impact does that cause you, especially where we are at the moment situation? Do you want to share that kind of mental nourishment from that football you get?
Yeah, unbelievably, honestly, I really always used to look forward to football. Yeah, whether I used to play once a week or twice a week, it was like almost the main thing that we used to look forward to. Football or any sports, has a significant association with happiness. I mean, that is probably a fact that you see, it has a positive impact on our health and mental health and happiness. So obviously, when I used to play every week, I used to feel good afterwards. Release some anger, have a little shout, whatever, but used to feel good afterwards. Win or lose, we used to feel better if we used to win. But if we lost, it's okay. We'd come back next week and we'll go again, sort of thing. So yeah, I used to look forward to all the time. It's something that I encourage even my staff. I used to take them every week to play. It's not necessarily about ability. It's just about taking part and being a part of it. It's very important, yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I think it's a very, very important issue you highlighted. It gives you the sense of teamwork, sense of achievement, sense of something so you can take it back. Obviously that will help your as an individual. It helps you to grow and become more wiser. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the benefits of football, there's loads. Absolutely, yeah, definitely. I mean, for children or even adults, I mean, it gives them confidence, self-esteem, all these things. These are facts that sports, and particularly football, being a team sport, it really does help in those aspects. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So now we're going to go back to our other guest. If we can go back to the main screen, please. Thank you. We also have a few other guests arrived late, but we will catch up with them. So quickly I want to go to Tanbir Bhai. Tanbir Bhai, thank you very much for joining us. Please share a few words, your role within the organization.
So, assalamu alaikum, everybody. Hello to all the viewers, and thank you for attending this interview. My role in the team Bristol Sports Foundation is probably an EC member role, where I look after head of operations for badminton in Bristol. So I'm the assistant coach of the junior section and the youth development, and also one of the main headaches for everybody running, because I'm very vocal and I'm very passionate about the development of players, the well-being of players, and the progress of players.
Thank you very much, Tanvir, for sharing that. So obviously, you've been involved primarily in the badminton section of the team. Can I just quickly ask everybody else, can you keep your mic on, please, so it doesn't interrupt the conversation? So Tanvir, going back to you. So you obviously deal with the badminton section of the team foundation, Bristol. So what are the kind of challenges that you see, especially from our community, playing sports, playing badminton? What would you suggest for people, our viewers that want to get involved in badminton? What is it that they should actually look for? Any advice, any suggestion to those who want to get involved, especially the new players? What would you advise? What would you suggest?
Badminton is a very fun activity. It also keeps you fit, and it's also a skill set that it's not very popular in mainstream media. So the general ones are basketball, football, cricket, rugby, that kind of stuff. But badminton is predominantly an Asian game that everybody plays, but it's kind of like they play it towards the later stage of their career. Generally, football and basketball and various other sports take it forward. I would say to people, it is a very, very good sport to play competitively, socially. It's also very good for your mental awareness, your physical well-being, and it's very, very good when it comes to interaction and relationship with people. As most of you know, I know most of these guys that you're interviewing through sport. And I know loads of people throughout the UK through sport of badminton. In general, why people should pick up the sport, it's a very fast-paced game. A lot of people think it's quite slow, but it's actually very fast-paced, and it's very, very competitive at the same time.
Thank you for sharing that. And a quick question back of something you just mentioned, which triggered me. When I look at badminton, especially doubles game, it's almost you have to build a different kind of relationship with your partner to play against another couple, another partners. And I think that's quite interesting how you might have someone that you never played with before, and yet when the game starts, you slowly pick up your strengths and your weaknesses with each other, so you can build a strong team. So I feel like that is a really nice way of discovering yourself, as well as learning how to bond with others in a very, very fast-paced game. What would you say on that? Would you like to share a few words on that?
To be honest, I couldn't quite hear your question, Nassim. Sorry, my apologies.
That's all right. Just wanted to show that when you play badminton in doubles, so you play a two-man team, and sometimes the players that doesn't know each other well enough, they still play as a team. So the interaction between them, they pick up very quickly what are each other's weakness and strength. And I think that's a huge learning way of playing badminton, discovering each other. So have we seen that kind of example, and does that help individually as well?
Okay, so I would like to answer that question as in the reason why badminton is more specific on either singles or doubles. Now, the doubles, the whole point of playing doubles is you cover your partner's weaknesses and you play to their strengths. So a lot of people tend to think it's just a racket hit and then you get the shuttle over. It is mainly that, but it's also to do with formation, tactics. It's also had to do with fitness and just to progress as a team. So it's a very team game. A lot of people kind of misunderstand it. They kind of think, well, hang on, I'm going to attack, you're going to defend kind of thing. But it is a very team game. It's also very good for communication on court compared to other sports.
Thank you for sharing that, and I think that's very, very important as a sports to able to have that kind of bondage and able to interact with in a very, very fast-paced, pressured game. So it's really, really a good way of mentally developed and challenge as well. So thank you very much for Tanvir by sharing that. The next I'll go who's representing the cycling part of the team foundation sports. So Ali Bhai, I know you've been involved all your life in various different parts of sports. I met you when I was a young man, when you were heading one of the Asian sports club in Fish Ponds. That's the first time I kind of met you, and then since then you've been involved throughout various different activities and setting great examples for many of us during the last few years. So cycling, why cycling? I know it's a very physically active sport, but what other benefit we can actually discover through cycling? Share your insight on cycling. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me? Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, all right, fine. Okay,
yes.
Fine. Well, thank you, Nassim, for that introduction. I mean, just before I go on the benefits of cycling, I would just like to say, first of all, that I've been riding since I can ever remember, maybe 3 years old. So I've been riding for a very, very long time. And I mean, I've been one of those young people that just love bikes when I was young. I mean, one of the examples I'll give you is that when I had the bike first time, is that I didn't know how to ride a bike. So basically, those were the days when you had a bike. There's no stabilizers at all. So basically, you had to lean off a wall and see how far you could go until you fall off. So basically, it was literally you learn like that. And one of the things that happened on the first day I learned how to ride a bike, I went home. My mum saw me and she fainted. The reason being is that because I tried so hard to learn how to ride a bike, I had hit my head and there was like lots of blood here, all down here, dried. I didn't even notice. So basically, I've been one of these people that is a pretty nutcase cycler, like love cycling, and it doesn't matter hot or cold, wind or wet or whatever, I love cycling. So every country I've gone to in my life, I've done some cycling somewhere. And for me, when you travel by cycle, it probably is, in my view, probably the best way to see a place, a country, a location, because you go at the pace at a reasonable place where you can absorb the heat, the light, the sun, and so it has a huge impact. So in terms of actually what it does in terms of mental health and stuff, I mean, there are lots of whole body exercises that are really great for positive mental health, but there's lots of studies that have been found that there's a combination of exercise and exposure to the outdoors is a bit of a magic combination for emotional and mental health. And cycling is now considered to be a key therapeutic component of any strategy to combat depression, anxiety, and stress. So cycling comes up and again, and there are numerous mental health benefits. Firstly, that it improves your mood. Now, how does it does that? Cycling pumps blood around your body at a greater rate, which allows for the rapid spread of endorphin and other good substances like dopamine and serotonin. So what are endorphins? I mean, what are they? I mean, when we exercise, our body releases chemicals called endorphins, and which are chemicals that produce naturally by our nervous system to cope with pain or stress. And they're often associated with, they're called feel-good chemicals because they can act as a pain reliever and a happiness booster. Dopamine, it plays a role with feeling pleasure, and it's released when your brain is expecting a reward. So basically, sometimes, when we've all been there, Jared Bay is not here, you see, but on a Saturday night, he likes Saturday night because he likes counting stuff. So when he's counting stuff, you get a buzz, and it raises the dopamine level. So basically, it's the same thing whether you do shopping, whether you enjoy certain food, and we're all Bangladeshis on the call here, and we love food. So the same experience, dopamine happens when you like something. And if you can associate that with cycling, what happens? It raises the pleasure and the reward in you. The last thing in that field is serotonin, and that comes like a hormone that stabilizes the mood and feelings of well-being and happiness. And what that does is basically it helps with sleeping, eating, and digestion in our body. So firstly, it improves your mood. Secondly, it promotes mental health. And that means, as Rule said, self-esteem, depression, anxiety, and stress all are correlated with positive exercise. And cycling, like football, has one of the most effective activities for head and heart to do that. The third is about sleeping. Now, if any of you have cycled, or Masumbai has cycled and Ruman has cycled, but when you do a long, and Rule has cycled, when you do a long stint and you are tired physically, what it does is actually has your circadian rhythm, and it reduces the stress levels and your hormones. And then when you're so tired, what happens? It gives you a proper regenerative deep sleep, especially if you're having difficult time sleeping. The next thing it does is it improves your memory. So riding is like building a new brain cells every time that you ride. It also improves creative thinking. So the regular uniform movement of cycling has a relaxing effect on the brain, stabilizing both physical and mental function. So I was on a big NHS board for about 6 years, and there were some very high-profile people on the board, and they all cycled. I mean, they're all on very high salaries as well. And when I sat with one of the guys, he was quite inspiring because he was about 67, 68 years of age, okay? And he was one of the most fittest people I ever come across, because this guy did triathlons, did all of these kind of things. But one of the things I asked him is, how did he become so fit? He said, what I did was twice a week, I did some sort of sport. One of those usually was a cycling spin for 20 miles, 30 miles, or whatever it might be. And I did that regularly for like 30 years. And he had more energy than we did, and we were like half his age. So it's quite amazing to see that. The other thing it does gives you calmness and well-being. So cycling does promote calmness inside us, and it's sort of a form of meditation almost. When you're in the zone of cycling, it's like sort of you can think of certain things, and the aspect of your heart, the final physical aspects, it gives you, it helps you lose weight, as we all know, increase your cardiovascular strength, reduces your heart attack levels. It's strong on your muscles, fitness, joints. And if you do 20 miles, every 20 miles of your cycling journey is about 1,000 calories. So if you did, I think Masumbai the other day, I think about 50 miles. So it's about 4,000 miles, 4,000 calories. So, it's like 3,000 calories. You can burn that kind of level. There's no sport you can really burn that in that sort of way. So the final thing that it has on the brain, this is the part that I would say I'll spend a little bit of time on, is that your brain on biking grows. So you grow your brain when you cycle, because it's the same way that we grow our muscles. Blood flows to our brain, increases it, and with that, so does the muscles, and we have more oxygen nutrients. It produces proteins, so it increases, creates new brain cells by 2 to 3 times the norm. It brings the functionality of the brain as well. So it's a natural decline as we get older, but it counteracts that as we do that. And the final thing is about social benefits, because if you imagine you've got a group of people and you cycle with them, it's very rarely that you'll spend 3 hours with somebody in something. But when you are cycling with somebody, you can have if it's early morning, you can have a chat with them, and you have a time with somebody in a group of people that you wouldn't normally do. So it's a really good also process to have a lot of social benefits, especially with what we are in at the moment in the lockdown and stuff. So yeah, I wonder that helps.
Thank you, Ali, by sharing that comprehensive, answer of the benefits of cycling, from physical to mental to your intellectual ability, to your memory, and of course your heart and every other parts. And as you spoke, and I can already identify a number of problems as a Bangladeshi community we have throughout UK, and I think cycling would be an excellent way of reducing those long-term effect. So Ali, quickly, I want to take an opportunity to ask you. So if I was a layman, someone working whether in catering sector, whether as a taxi driver, or a job that requires a lot of my time, having a family. What are the first basic few steps to get involved in cycling? Because some of my viewers think it can be quite an expensive sport. So what's the best way to actually slowly ease into it? And secondly, on that question, is it safe? Because one thing does scare a lot of my followers is that roads are quite dangerous, especially at night time when you're cycling. Now, how do you handle that kind of risk of getting run over by a car or other transport? So if you can share,
Yeah, sure, absolutely. The first thing I would like to say to everybody is that cycling does not necessarily and does not have to be an expensive sport. You can start off with any bike, and I would suggest anybody in cycling to start off with a basic bike, a second-hand one if you can get one, whatever that may be, and then work your way up to a more better bike when you're more confident. So essentially, there are groups in Bristol. There's quite a number of groups if people are based locally. There's Brothers on Bristol. There's Masumbai runs a cycling group as well. So there's a lot of groups at different levels. So we have in one of the groups, they have about 4 different levels. So you have a basic intermediary level where you can if you're just new to cycling, all you need is any bike, a helmet, and a sort of a visible jacket, and you will get some help with somebody who will help you move along. And if you one of the things I would say, if you want to be successful in anything, even in cycling or business or anything, there is something called just small little habits. So if we did regularly, say if you were doing even like push-ups or and you couldn't do more than 10, but if you got to 10, the next day you could try 11, you could try 12, you could try the day after 13, and all you do is that you'd increase one thing every day. So cycling is exactly like Masumba will tell you that when he first started cycling, it was very hard to do 10 miles. Now to do 50 is not a problem, because what you did was it's just gradually increased the amount by 1 or 2 miles whenever you cycle. So that's the first thing I would say. The second part question you had was about
safety.
Safety. So about safety is that we tend to go to cycling not on main roads if we can. Okay, there are national cycle routes throughout the whole country, everywhere. Bristol has got plenty of them. And even if you are on the roads and you wake up early morning, there are very little cars on a Sunday morning on many roads, as there are in Southwest. So on the cycle routes itself, there are no cars. So the old railway tracks, Bristol to Bath, that Bath route goes all the way to Reading. So it will go through all of Swindon, all of those. It's like goes to the canal route. So it basically you can actually ride a bike with no cars anywhere you only see one. So it depends on the route that you take. Secondly, from the road safety aspect, if you've got high visible jacket, you've got lights, you've got a helmet, all of those things, and they're visible from a far distance, and you have daytime running lights, which is little flicker lights you see on people. If you have those, people can see that. And as long as you're not riding in the middle of the road, generally cars are, they usually avoid the cyclists. So I would say it's a very safe sport. I've been riding, like I say, since I was 3 years old. I'm an old man now, and I'd say I've never been knocked off or hit by a car. And I cycle every week, 2-3 times a week. So and I cycle on roads. I've done 100-mile journeys and gone to countries and stuff like that. So we're hoping to do from Bristol to Border, which is 600 miles. So in the summer, if that's run, so it'll be over 4 days, 120 miles a day. But again, you're in the comfort of riding in a group. When you're in a group, the cars see you much more. 2 or 3 people together, they tend to avoid you. So safety is not an issue, in my view, for cycling.
Thank you very much for sharing that, dear viewers. As you heard from Mahmoud Ali Bhai, who's been cycling for a number of years and done thousands of miles, that this is something sports that you gradually get involved into. You can start very simple and then slowly work your pace up, and then you can do furthermore. It's a really benefit sports and this is something you can do with your children, your family, and your friends, and discovering each other while you're cycling. So I highly recommend it, especially for the Bangladeshi community, to start thinking about maybe investing some money into this sports. And of course, it's a socially distanced sports as well. So, your compliance to the rules and regulation with the current lockdown, and really gets your mental ability, much more expanded and refreshed. So thank you very much, Ali Bhai, for sharing that. And secondly, I'm going to move into Masumbai. Masumbai is one of the project coordinator for Team Bristol Foundation, is the man behind the scene that does a lot of hard work to get things organized and moved. He's also involved in Bangladesh Association, Bristol Bath and West, with various other charity networks. So my question to Masumbai to beginning is, just say a few words. What inspired you to get involved in Team Foundation in Bristol, and share the insights and the challenges, and tell us, our viewers, the story behind it. So maybe other peoples in other parts of the country can organize similar organization and help their community.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Thanks.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Okay. Thank you very much, Nasim Bhai. First of all, আমরা invite করার লাগি আমি বাংলায় হইলে ইজি হইব। Team Bristol Sports Foundation basically started last summer. আমরা যেটা করছি কি, আর এটা আগে আছিল only the Team Bristol Badminton Club. So last year we involve cricket and football and cycling. As you know, we are a cycling group, increasing lots of cyclists our community. Same as a cricket, we got lots of cricket player. They wants to play midweek league, and this is a good news. They will explain everyone with the good news regarding the cricket. And basically 5 years to the Team Bristol Badminton Club loge aছি. Also, I as a executive member of United Badminton Association, the work for working for badminton whole UK, plus as a second coach হিসেবে আছি as a junior Bristol Badminton Club or junior session, plus as a representative হিসেবে আছি Badminton England member হিসাবে। It's a quite good role আছে, plus আমরা main thing যেটা আমরা community আমরা very help করে, যার ফলে last 5 years we are running successfully, alhamdulillah. And this year basically আমরা start করতাম আছিল যেটা ফুটবল লাগি, আমরা বাতিজা, আমরা really lucky, আমরা বাতিজা রাতিব আমরা লগে এবার ওয়ার্ক করা, যে স্পেশালি দ্য ইউথ ট্রেনিং দিবার লাগি। তে আমরা বাতিজা রাতিবে তাই স্যাক্রিফাইস করছন টাইম আমরা লাগি, যে ওয়ান্স লকডাউন এভরিথিং ক্লিয়ার হইব, আন্ডার 14-15 কিডস এর আরে তাই আমরা মানে টিম ব্রিস্টল স্পোর্টস ফাউন্ডেশনের আন্ডারে তাই আমরা কোচিং করাইবা। লগে আমরা ফজলুবাইও আসইন, তারা দুজন এটা করবা, হুইচ ইজ ভেরি গুড। আর ইজ ভেরি লাকি, আমরা রাতিব ইজ এ qualified coach. He's coaching Thornbury and Bradley Stoke. So আমরা কমিউনিটির মাঝে ইলা ট্যালেন্টেড মানুষ আছে, আমরা আসলে জানি না। আর ব্যাডমিন্টনও যেটা আমরা ট্রাই করলাম কিছু প্লেয়ার বিল করার লাস্ট 5 ইয়ার্স থেকে, যেটা আমরা আগে যেটা কিছুটা ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড যাওয়া লাগে, নাসিম ভাই মাইন্ড করবো না 2 মিনিট। আমি যে সময় ব্রিস্টল ব্যাডমিন্টন খেলানি স্টার্ট করছি about 4-5 years ago, আগে কোনো রুল রেগুলেশন আসিল না। Anybody can play with anyone. There is no rule and regulation. মানে আমরা our first of all আমরা একটা লিস্টিং করছি। We made a listing to categorize player who can play with who, and that way you can build lots of players. There used to be, if there's any tournament there, is only 10-12 team. Now, alhamdulillah, over 40 team turn up within 2-3 weeks time notice. This is a very good thing. And also, as a club, we are supporting all our local clubs, is the listing wise, organized wise, over their club in Bristol. We are supporting everyone, and they're supporting us as well. This is the good thing. Regarding cycling, Ali Bhai mentioned also most of things. And last year, mainly cyclist, Ali Bhai, me, Ruhul Bhai, in cyclist. আমরা 3 different category করছি সাইকেলিং এর। যে একটা হলো সোশ্যাল, যেটা যে কিডস বা চেঞ্চরে লিয়ে যাওয়ার লাগে, ইট ইজ ভেরি গুড, আমরা ইনো আসুন। দেন অ্যাডভান্স আসুন যারা, মনে আমরা অ্যাডভান্স হলে মোটামুটি ঠিক আছে। আর যারা ফার্স্ট, আলী ভাই, মামুন ভাই, তারা ইজ ভেরি গুড সাইকেলিস্ট, তারা আমরা অ্যাডভান্স লেভেলের। ও 3টা ক্যাটাগরি হচ্ছে। আর ব্যাডমিন্টনের মাঝে আছে 3 ডিফারেন্ট ক্যাটাগরি ফর ডি মাইনাস। এন্ড একটা থিঙ্ক আপনারা যারা অনলাইনও আসেন বা মানে জানরা, we are the club, Team Bristol Badminton Club, we are the club firstly made in Southwest, the any category D minus. আগে only একটা ক্যাটাগরি আছিল খালি ডি, আমরা ডি মাইনাস করছি, যার ফলে lots of player come out, and ডির মাঝে 2টা পার্ট করায় আমরা মানে একটা কম্পারেটিভ ম্যাচ ওর, যে কোনো একটা টুর্নামেন্ট হইলে, কম্পিটিশন হইলে একটা নাইস একটা টুর্নামেন্ট ওর, দিস ইজ দ্য মেইন থিং। And আমরা last 5 years we made so many charity tournament like Gaza, Rohingya, Syria, even Bristol Shahjalal Mosque, Western Mosque, আমরা couple of madrasa, couple of masjid, lots of charity tournament was. Even we raised I think more than 12 to 15,000 pound last 5 years only for the charity. And all credit goes to our local community people. They're always supporting us. This is the main thing. And last of all, I just thank you to our like a co-member Jarason, like a Ziasasa Parvez by David Bhai. They're always supporting us. This is the main thing. Amra lagi agoitam parsi. Thank you very much, Nasim Bhai.
Thank you, Masum Bhai, for sharing insight and how Team Bristol Foundation is working, Sports Foundation, and how they've been managing a number of sports and activity. And one of the things that I picked up from this conversation, two things that I picked up from this conversation. One is there's a lot of activity for the youth, which is very, very important. That's one thing that I really, really encourage, whether you run an organization of sports or community, get the youth involved. So I'm really pleased to see the Team Foundation Bristol is really focusing on that sector, so which is very, very important. And I'm going to come to other coaches to talk about more on that. And secondly, which is another important issue, is the charity benefits that this club brings. It is really, really inspiring to see that kind of benefit. That money goes to a number of charities supporting various different sectors, and I am one of my charity has been a benefit factor a number of years ago as well, through this kind of activity. So really, really pleased and glad that Masum Bhai covered all that points, and it's very, very important. A team of spirits can bring so much benefit to the community that we highlight that and showcase for others to follow. So thank you, Masum Bhai. I'm not going to ask you another question for the moment. I do have a question which I'm going to come back later. I'm going to go to Ratif Bhai for the moment. Ratif, যেহেতু বাগনাও লাগো সম্পর্কে তারপর ভাই কইলাই। So Ratif, what inspired you to join this team, and what is it that you feel like can contribute in terms of as a young coach? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to share start with the introduction and then share your kind of involvement with this team?
Okay, so first of all, Omar, if I can call you Omar, I really appreciate you arranging a really fantastic event like this, and also Omar for the introduction, which was very, very kind. So my name is Ratib. I've been coaching now for the last 2 years, both at Bradley Stoke Town FC. They're an amateur team in North Bristol. The first team play at a fairly decent standard, so just below county level, and I'm responsible for managing their development squad, so the B team. There's a team below us as well, and essentially it's to bridge the Bradley Stoke youth team into the men's team. I also coach at Thornbury Town Football Club, so for the under-18s team there. So their team actually plays at step 5 level, so almost at a semi-professional kind of standard. So alhamdulillah, I've been really fortunate and blessed to work with some very good clubs, and really, yeah, really fortunate from the grace of God, really, so to find myself in the positions that I'm in. As for what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, so much like Urubai and many others, football has been a passion of mine for pretty much my whole life. There's a time in many of our youth where we think one day we'll grow up to be some kind of sports professional. For football, unfortunately, it's not a reality for most. And I happen to have a friend who worked as a football agent for some quite a good standard, actually, who basically suggested going into the game as a coach. So I looked into it, enrolled myself onto some FA courses, and just coming up to completing my level 2 just before kind of the lockdown. I'm also part of an organisation called ECAP, and so there are some senior FA level coach developers that run that. So I've recently enrolled onto the mentorship program. I'm the first person, along with one other, to enroll onto that. So very privileged to be a part of that. So that's essentially my own, I guess, selfish reasons for going into it. And as for wider community intentions, yeah, football is a very social sport. It's something that brings the community together. The World Cup final was watched by pretty much everyone around the world. It's the most watched live event in any kind of, I guess, TV or media platform. So it's something that will really allow me to give back to the community. So developing people has always been a passion of mine. It's why I went into coaching, and one of the first reasons anyway. And so getting in touch with Team Bristol was actually almost by accident, because as some of you know, Fosbai's son plays mashallah for Bristol City in the academy. And it was through a contact of mine, a gentleman called Kaf Rahman, who's ex-Arsenal, is the ex-Arsenal, Tottenham and England coach. And he actually recommended that I get in touch with Fosbai regarding this. So we collaborated with Team Bristol, so Football Inspires, which is the organisation of coaches that we have for Bangladeshis, basically. And agreed that we would do something for the community. So last August, we arranged a little event, talent club, to invite some youth in the local area to come and join us for just a bit of fun. We had over about 20 to 25 people there, alhamdulillah, which is a fantastic turnout. And we also had coaches from a few places. So Taf came down, he's obviously ex-England. We had somebody called Liton Zaman from West Ham United Academy. We also had a scout from Newport County come as well. And as a result of the event, we had 2 players go on trial to Newport County. So alhamdulillah, it was a really good success. And the opportunity given to me has opened, I hope, some doors for the community, which gives me a lot of pride and reiterates why I've got into it in the first place.
Thank you, Bangladeshi, for sharing that. That gives us a really good insight into your role and the experience that you bring to the club. One more question I want to ask you before we move into a different subject. So one thing we learned throughout the lockdown is the mental health, not just about the adult, as well as the children, as well as the youth. The schools are closed. Schools are a very confused state at the moment. And I think playing football obviously allows them to be out and expressing their emotions through playing sport. What would you advise to parents of those children owner, especially under Bangladeshis that are parents? They are always a little bit resistant or reluctant for their kids to go out and play sports. We make so many excuses. So what would you advise our viewers that why they should take that as a priority to the welfare of the children to grow and get them involved, whether not football, maybe cricket, but get them involved, get them out there?
Cool. So there's so many ways to answer this question, Mama. Actually, the reality of our parents and the generations just above is that unfortunately, they did experience a lot of racism growing up, not just in sport, but you know, just in society. You hear stories of our parents and uncles, etc. You know, in the generations that they've grown up and the political environment that they were, I guess, experienced life in. So naturally, they will have some concerns about their kids going to join certain sporting organizations. The reality of the sport today, I mean, I experienced it as a kid. Again, there's some deeper motivations there, but the game has changed a lot. The game has changed a lot, and there are loads of initiatives from the Football Association to tackle the problems and concerns that people from a minority ethnic background have relating to racism. So, you know, life is life. You'll have incidents like that, but you know, from what I've seen, and listen, I'm one ethnic coach. I'm the only Asian person at my club. Over 100 white people there. I've not had one issue whatsoever, and you know, alhamdulillah, you know, times have changed. So, if there are any concerns about that, you know, you can't just stay at home. You've got to go out and be brave. You know, for our kids, it's important that you allow them to experience life for what it is, because okay, if they might have an incident in a sports club, you're actually giving them really good life skills to be able to kind of manage their feelings, you know, develop critical thinking skills. So these are actually really important gains to be had from letting your child go and experience, you know, what they should in sports clubs. I think, as you know, the way we were designed by Allah, and you know, just to quote us, we weren't designed to be sat at home, to be sat in front of our desks and sitting in front of computers all day. That's not how we were designed. And even if you look at the Sunnah, if anybody wants to adhere to that, you know, people used to go out all the time. You know, you know, Allah's hand is over the Jama'ah. You know, so in groups. So it's important, whether it's sport or whether it's anything else, that you know, that you take advantage of the opportunities given to us. I would suggest, you know, if anybody has any concerns, you know, feel free to get in touch with me, especially in Bristol. I'll be more than happy to take anybody under my wing and put you in the right direction, or even work with me if we need to. But from a mental health perspective, you know, like I said, you need to go out. You need to push yourself. Don't be afraid. You know, I've got a beard. I openly practice my faith within my sporting community. Nobody says a thing, and actually, it's a good education for other people. So, the advice I would give, I mean, anyway, I mentioned earlier, I can't really say too much more than that, because you know the science behind it. But I think, you know, there's immense benefit from going out. And just to kind of finally top it up, as a coach, so in my courses for the FA, there's something called the four-corner model. It's looking at the technical and physical side of football when we coach, but actually when we design a session, we also look at the psychological and social aspects of a training session. And so actually when we coach your kids, we take their mental health into consideration. We take their self-esteem aspects into consideration. So, you know, as a parent, it's our duty, and I've got a 3-4-year-old, and I've got so much to learn, you know, still. But going out, let your child fall over, let them scrape their knee. It's so important. Don't mollycoddle them, you know, because actually you're not allowing them to prepare themselves for the real life, because one day you're not going to be around. So how is your kid developing these self-esteem kind of aspects of their personality? What kind of character development are you allowing them to have? And what sports allows you to do is, not only will you get you know, to develop critical thinking skills or decision-making skills or things like that, the esteem comes from it, the confidence comes from it, the communication comes from it, the listening comes from it, the teamwork comes from it. So as a coach, you know, it's very important, well, that I would say, for parents to find a club that is standard chartered from the FA, because you have qualified coaches. More than, because I'm just at a base level. When you get to a good club, you'll find very good coaches. And inshallah, you know, with the work that they're doing to tackle racism, you'll find that actually there's you should feel more confident than scared. So that's the advice I would give. Yeah, any other questions, please feel free.
Thank you very much.
Can I just add something as well, Nassim?
Yeah, I was going to come to you. Go on, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I mean, what Ratib said is perfect. So, I agree with what he said. Also, not just racism, but also there's a great effort on the parents' part, because if you've got, say, 2 children, it's training twice and then matches another 2 days. So it's a lot of effort on the parents as well. So we, as parents, we need to really make a lot of effort to take the kids to football, and the time for that, and slight cost as well. And also, something I hear from Bengali people a lot is, oh, we're not strong enough, or we're not, physically capable, so therefore we shouldn't really bother taking the kids to football because we're not going to become, professionals, etc. I understand that, and that is probably correct. But regardless of whether someone becomes professional or not, that shouldn't be important. What's important is that the child will make friends. He'll, as all the benefits that Ratib said, he'll learn communication, teamwork, etc., and the health benefits from playing. So, yeah, as parents, we should all make an effort to get the kids involved. And like Masumbai said, Team Bristol was really doing some great initiatives and starting some projects, which I was involved in as well. Ratib and Fosbai done a really good one-day event, and my kids really enjoyed that. But due to the lockdowns, we couldn't then do any further events. But hopefully in the future, yeah, we'll do some more events, inshallah.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Roland. And I definitely agree with you on that. Whether you become professional or not, don't deprive your children of the childhood memories. Because every time we think about our childhood, our great memories comes from playing sports, meeting people and making those new friends with our communication and developing the character we became today throughout those events. So it's really, really amazing. So those parents out there, make your priority for your kids' benefit, for their future. Spend time, spend whatever you can. It doesn't always have to be a very expensive sport. Whichever capacity you can. Organization like Team Bristol is always looking for new people to join, new children to get involved. I'm sure you'll find local clubs and other initiatives across the country, wherever you may be. But you need to be out there looking any kind of opportunity to get your children involved. It's a really an important subject, and make that priority, whether you're busy in the catering trade or as a taxi or any other profession. You need to make time for your children. Very simple, clear message. So thank you very much, Ratib and Ruil, on that. And we want to go back to now cricket, which is one of the Bangladesh's a very, very favorite sports. In Bristol, cricket has been playing involved with the Bangladeshi community for a number of years, and recently we've seen a huge change, huge increment on that, a huge number of players without, and huge tournaments as well. So to talk about cricket, I'm going to invite my guest, Junaid Bhai. Junaid Bhai is a very well-known sportsman within the community of Bristol, and he's going to share his input into the Team Bristol Foundation, and also please share any advice, any suggestion for our viewers out there who wants to get involved in cricket, and what kind of age, is there any age limit for playing cricket as well? Share that with us, please. Junaid Bhai.
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I would like to thank everyone. Thank you, Bhai. I'm very proud of you. Alhamdulillah, খুবই ভালো আছি। মই আসলে খুবই ভালো থাকতে দোয়া করি। থ্যাংক ইউ আমার একটা অপরচুনিটি দেওয়ার এই টিম ব্রিস্টল ফাউন্ডেশনের ধন্যবাদ জানাইলাম, তারা আমারে ক্যাপ্টেন রাখছেন। ইনশাআল্লাহ আমরা আপনারা খুবই জানলাম লাস্ট ইয়ার আমরা একটা টুর্নামেন্ট কয়েকটা লন্ডন টিম আছে, কালিফোর্নিয়া টিম আছে, কয়টা টিম আছে। এটা একটা বড় টুর্নামেন্ট হয়েছে, একটা সাকসেসফুল টুর্নামেন্ট হয়েছে। আমি কারণ হলো আমরা একটা ডকুমেন্টারি বানাইছিল এনটিভিএ, আলহামদুলিল্লাহ নিয়ারলি 1 মিলিয়ন ভিউয়ার্স হলে ভিউ করছেন। তো এটা ওয়ান অফ দ্য বিগ অ্যাচিভমেন্ট টিম ব্রিস্টল লাগি। আপনারা জানরা না নতুবা আপনারা লগে শেয়ার করলাম। ইনশাআল্লাহ আমরা তো নেক্সট ইয়ার মিডউইক ক্রিকেট লিগে আমরা এন্ট্রি করতাম ইনশাআল্লাহ, যদি আমরা খেলা হয় আশা হোপফুলি এবার কো সিজন খেলতে পারমু। আর আপনারা দোয়া করবা ইনশাআল্লাহ। আর আমরা ট্রাই করলাম যে টুর্নামেন্ট স্টার্ট হইবার আগে আমরা নেক্সট প্র্যাকটিস করতাম, প্র্যাকটিস ম্যাচ কি আমরা আসলে ক্রিকেটও কোনো এজ লাগে না। আমি মনে করি যদি ফিট থাকো নাকি যদি ইনশাআল্লাহ আপনি খেলতে পারবেন, কোনো সমস্যা নাই। আসলে আমি মিডউইক ক্রিকেট খেলছি কার্ডিফ, আপনারা বিলিভ করবানি এটা টিমের এগেইনস্ট তারা এটা রিটায়ার্ড প্লেয়ার হল, তারা 40+ নিয়ারলি 45-46 তারা লোক আমি খেলছি। আমি আসলে রিয়েলি এনজয় করছি তারা লোক খেলা। তারা দ্বিতীয় আরো একটা অন্য জিনিস, আমি তারা লোক রিয়েলি এনজয় করছি। এখানে এইট পার্টেন আলহামদুলিল্লাহ। আর আমরা মাঝে লট অফ ইয়াংস্টার আছেন, তারা যদি আমরা গাইড করতে পারি, তারা যদি আমরা প্র্যাকটিস করতে পারি, তারা যদি হই এভরিডে তোমরা ওয়ান্স এ উইক লিস্ট, তারা আসলে তারা দিতে পারবা। আর থ্যাংক ইউ। আর আমি দেখলাম আমার লগে আর কোঅর্ডিনেটর লাগি যে কষ্ট করা, আসলে তার কষ্ট হার্ড ওয়ার্কিং আপনাকে জানা না। আমরা মাসুদ ভাই, থ্যাংক ইউ মাসুদ ভাই, আমার রুহুল মামু ভাই আছেন, রাকিব ভাই আছেন, আমার চাইল্ডহুড ফ্রেন্ড রুমান আছেন, আমার ভাই তানবীর, থ্যাংক ইউ ওয়ান এন্ড অনলি ভাই। আমরা তো আসলে প্রাউড করার মতো, আমরা একজন বিস্টলার ওয়েল নোন মানুষ। আর যারা যারা ভিউয়ার্স হলে দেখলাম আমরা লাগে দোয়া করবা ইনশাআল্লাহ। আপনার সবাই ধন্যবাদ। আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
থ্যাংক ইউ জুনেদ ভাই, আমরা শেয়ার করবার লাগি। যারা ভিউয়ার্স এগেইন আপনারা যদি ক্রিকেটে ইনভলভ হইতে চান, আপনারা জুনেদ ভাইয়ের কাছ থেকে শুনলা এখন এইজের ব্যাপার নাই, অল ইউ নিড ইজ এ বিট অফ প্যাশন। and আপনি বিস্টলা খান্দা আছে তাহলে আমরা লগে যোগাযোগ করবা, টিম ফাউন্ডেশন স্পোর্টসের লগে যোগাযোগ করবা। ইলা যদি আর কোনো ক্লাব থাকে আপনারা খান্দা আছে তার লগে যোগাযোগ করবা। It's a very nice sport, it's a gentleman sport. Only thing is din lagai, but you get a really fresh batas খাওয়া যায়, outdoor হওয়া যায়, and then you really build that team exercise with a number of team people. So cricket is very good. আপনারা যে যেখানে ইনভলভ হইতে চান আপনারা ইনভলভ, বয়স কোনো ফ্যাক্টর নাই, because you're physically able to and have the passion for cricket. Please join হোকা। আমরা কিন্তু টাইম একবারে জাস্ট ওভার আওয়ার হয়ে যাবে। আমার একটা লাস্ট প্রশ্ন আছে, and this question is open to Masum bhai, Ruman bhai, or anybody else wants to answer that. And I think it's a very good question, and I really don't want any kind of negative answer on this. Our question is, as we see, the Team Bristol Sports Foundation are organizing a number of sports for the youth, for a lot of adult men. What about the women? Is there any facility that Team Sports Foundation are thinking of providing any kind of support? Because it's very important that we go out and about for our mental health. I think it's very important for the women families also are suffering from various different stress, pressure as well. So what can you guys are thinking of offering for the women to have the same opportunity as the rest of them? So please, anyone from the Team Foundation Sports would like to answer that, and other people can join in as well. I'll start with the secretary.
Assalamualaikum, Hundani Mat.
Yeah.
Okay. Tanbir Muhammadilai. Amra, we had a meeting just before second lockdown with Bangladesh Women's Group, and they already agreed they're going to play badminton once a week, and we organize everything. And everything was set up. The meeting was me, Tanbir, and Javed Bhai was there. They got three women come from the women's group, and they already agreed everything, and we set up everything. And unfortunately, the lockdown comes, and we have to stop that thing. That's why it couldn't happen. But inshallah, we had a plan, and inshallah, it's going to be happen once open the lockdown. And just just to add Horilai Junaid Bhai Dr. Thoba Polagi, 1 minute Joholimu. Junaid Bhai explained about the cricket. We had a plan next summer, the coming summer, to like open day for the kids, only for the cricket. We had a football junior and badminton junior. So we're planning to do youth cricket. So inshallah, it's going to be happen as well. And the other thing, just to add up another thing, just small story into the mental health and lockdown that thing. This summer, what happened? One of the kids come in our camp, and I think most of children got some kind of problem, and the survey said the 1 in 5 children is got mental some kind of problem. It don't have to be like a crazy things. So after he comes fast after a long time, come out from home, and after the session, the mom ring one of my friend, and the mom said, tell the organizer I'm making dua for them. And I asked my friend what happened. He said that his son laughing after a long time. Just imagine.
MashaAllah.
The kids going back home and laughing, and he memorizing, like remembering what he done all day, and he waiting for the next week. And just thinking, we go like first week we go 5 kids, second week 20 kids, and everyone just waiting for the next week. We like as a community, we need to push our children to come out. Doesn't matter you have to be badminton, doesn't matter to football, whatever the sports they like. We are like promoting everything. Whatever the kids like, we are giving them chance. Thank you very much, Nasim Bhai. Hopefully, cover up, we say.
Thank you, Masim Bhai, for sharing that. Is there anybody else would like to add anything on it? We got next 2 more minutes only. I'm guessing that would be so. It's a really Ratib Bhai, please.
Yeah, just very quickly on that. I think from a cultural perspective, it's very important to understand the barriers to entry for anything. So, as men, to just go up to a lady within the community and say, "Would you like to get involved in the sport?" It's a tricky sensitive issue. So, I think for our sisters who are looking to get involved, it's really important for yourself to not feel shy, to reach out to the contacts at Team Bristol, because that's organised. Well, it's an organisation, isn't it? So it makes it a bit more generic. And then the interest that you can generate between you and your friends or companions, family, whoever that wants to get involved, that would give us enough to be able to put something together and organise. So even if that's football, I know some female football coaches within Bristol that'd be more than happy to support the women in our community. But we just need to know that there are enough people out there who are interested to get involved in the first place.
Thank you, Ratib Bhai. Bagna Ratib, that's very good. Thank you for sharing that. So for my viewers, Team Bristol Sports Foundation is already working with the Women's Bangladesh Association. And if there's other groups, women who are interested to get involved, whether it's a badminton, whether it's football, cricket, or even cycling, Ali Bhai said there's a sisters group for cycling as well. I think the team will be happy to send further information, or if there's enough interest, then they are happy to organize that. And that's one thing we really good about this team is, they're very, very open-minded, and they really want to, give opportunity to everyone. And of course, very, very important is our youth to have that opportunity. So we learned about that, and we are coming to the end of the program. And we will share the details of Team Sports Foundation contact details on the comments when we post share this on our Facebook and other things. I'd like to say thank you very much to all my guests for making this time on short notices and sharing their insights and their experiences to our viewers. It's very, very important that we continue to showcase that so other people can get involved and do much more within their family and communities. Please, whatever you do, stay safe, follow the government guideline. We are at risk of this pandemic upon us. So whatever we do, we need to make sure that we take all the precautions, all the steps to safeguard ourselves, our vulnerables, our elders, I know I have another program with your cousin Ratib tomorrow on the vaccine. But for tonight, we're going to conclude this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep everybody safe. Please make dua for us and our family. Assalamu alaikum. Have a good night.